All right, so it is day 7 of the daily self-gift challenge. I think I'm definitely starting to run into what only can be described as like a timing, a time issue where it doesn't feel like there's enough time in the day to do what I want to do. But then when I reflect on the day, I spend so much of my day either, it might add up to a few hours between procrastination, feeling overwhelmed or anxious. Really, with 8 hours of sleep, we have 16 hours in the day. Take off 1 hour for eating, 1 hour for showering, um, 10, let's say 8 hours of doing work. For me, it's school and studying. And you're still left with 6 hours. Or wait, did I do the math there right? Yeah, they're still left with 6 hours. So when I reflected on why I was feeling that way, I think what came up for me was maybe I was getting feelings of anxiety and overwhelm, um, and depression, which is kind of related to, uh, you know, issues in the past of adapting and learning to love myself every day, right? And I think I was aware that this would become an issue at some point during the challenge. I wasn't expecting it so early on. And so while I was kind of reflecting on that, I remember, I don't know if it was a book I read or someone maybe on Instagram told me, um, that anxiety typically has to do with our mind being in the future. And there's a lot of worry about the future, right? And depression has to do with our mind being in the past and worrying about what happened. And right, so when we're not in the present moment and instead we're split between these anxious and depressed elements that are pulling us between the future and the past, I think the most important thing when I'm feeling that way is to bring myself to the present, because in this moment, like I said, I have, after sleep, 16 hours in my day, after my schoolwork, my class schedule and my studying, eating and showering. I have 6 hours left in the day. So this 30 minutes is really, it should never feel overwhelming if I'm actually in the present. And I think that's what it takes to be efficient with our time, is to be in the present so that we don't lose it to the past and we don't lose it to the future. Um, so, I mean, having said that, I was kind of like theorizing what I could do today, because this daily self gift I think should be somewhat variable depending on what I need every day. I was thinking about what I could do today to address that, and I found this awesome meditation slash breathwork exercise. It's like 16 minutes long. And it focuses on the vagus nerve tone and restoring the vagal. Is it vagus or vagal? Doesn't matter. Restores the tone of this nerve that runs my digestion. And it's been proven that when restoring the proper tone to this nerve, that you can decrease feelings of anxiety and depression at once. I think that has to do maybe with the fact that our digestive system is what's happening in the present moment. You know, I'm not sure. I have to read up on this more. But anyway, I'm going to try this meditation. And so it's 16 minutes long, which means I'm going to do this, and then I'll do 14 minutes of foam rolling at the end of that. And then actually maybe just a minute or two of stretching my hamstrings because yesterday they were so tight. So let's get started on that. Pull this up. Headphones in. Hope that connects. Having a little bit of an issue with this app today. So let's go. All right, there we go. Oh. So just checking in with how I'm feeling right now, trying to document that. My neck definitely feels a little bit tighter right now than it did yesterday, and I'm wondering what is the cause of that. Okay, wow. That guided meditation breathwork series is really incredible. And it's really simple too. It's just someone leading you through breathing in for 5 seconds, holding for 6 seconds, breathing out for 7 seconds, um, or as close to those numbers as you can get with whatever um, your breath capacity feels like. Like at the start, I didn't feel like I was hitting those numbers, but towards the end, I was actually going for longer. I was breathing in for like 8 seconds, holding for 11, and then breathing out for I don't even know how long. Kind of like stop counting and it just becomes like you find your rhythm. And I felt my heart rate go down to like 60 beats a minute. Um, and I'm definitely feeling a lot less anxious. But there is like something in this right side of my neck now that I'm feeling. I'm gonna do my foam rolling now. I think I might do that whenever I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Like if ever I get a feeling like, oh my God, like there's not enough time or like I have too much to do, or if I'm thinking about like, oh man, like yesterday I didn't do what I wanted to do, getting depressed about like regrets and like judging myself. I think I'll do this just because I think it's incredible. And I'm not sure I understand the science behind it. I'm definitely going to look it up, but it has to do with basically improving the transmission of signals along the vagus nerve, which runs from your skull down all the way to your digestive system. And I've heard people talk about the digestive system being the second brain of the body. Maybe that has something to do with it. I'm curious now, so I'm gonna look this up. All right, so I kind of knocked out neurological and cardiovascular in one thing, which also is kind of nice. And now let's work on the fascial system. I'm gonna set an alarm for 15 minutes here. Let's get my shirt tucked in. It's interesting. On the same side that my neck is kind of feeling tweaked, my scapula also feels a little bit tweaked. It's, really crunchy underneath there. If that has something to do with it, like maybe my posture yesterday wasn't great. Oh my God. Yeah, whoa. This is wild. Wow. And I'm gonna be honest, like my neck all of a sudden feels a lot looser. That's wild. And I don't know if I would have been aware of that if I hadn't really checked in with my body and been more present. And this is one of the things that I want to make more mainstream knowledge is that the body is so interconnected. And oftentimes we think of it as being very compartmentalized, that you have, you know, the back, the chest, the legs, um, the shoulder, the neck, right? Um, there is nothing really separate about any part of the body. Like your back is connected to your toes, ultimately. Um, and once you start to acknowledge that, it makes it a lot easier to identify what might be causing someone pain. For example, a lot of the times if I'm experiencing low back pain, I know that I need to stretch my psoas or my hip flexors or my glutes. It's not necessarily that something is wrong in my back necessarily. Oh, super interesting right here. So now I'm feeling it kind of run along my SCM down to my clavicle. It makes me wonder if maybe not the SCM being tight or even potentially the clavicle not being kind of in its state of ease because the shoulder, yeah, wow. Whoa, that's interesting. The chest that'll release even more, but yeah, the shoulder feels so much better right now. And by virtue the neck, so it's pretty cool. I could spend all day doing that. I swear to God, it feels so good. Yeah, just like I thought, like this upper chest area on the right is tight. I'm trying to think back to yesterday, how many hours I spent using my computer, using my phone, if maybe when I was asleep, maybe I slept on my right shoulder, like something definitely added up yesterday into this right shoulder neck area. But it already feels like, I don't know, 70% better. It was a nagging pain when I woke up. That's something that if I was experiencing, like if I experienced that for another couple of days, I'll probably, go see a chiropractor or a fascial worker for it, and over the $50 and see if they can't get rid of it. But I think I can deal with it completely on my own. I'm pretty sure in a couple of days. One of the notes. Oh man. Definitely just a lot tighter in general today. I did some running actually yesterday. I haven't run in a while, so maybe that is adding to this equation too. My body just isn't used to running, so threw things a little off kilter. But it felt good while I was running, like my body felt amazing, so I just went for it. Yeah, but staying with the trend, everything in this right shoulder area, even the bicep is tight. Interesting. My mind is really worrying here. Like I'm thinking about the fact that the track that I ran on, I was always running with my inside leg was my left leg. And so my right shoulder, every time I was doing the turns, might have been higher. Maybe as I was higher and I was pounding every time I hit the track. that added up over the course of a few laps. I don't run for that long. That's kind of the way that I'm learning to think, though. And that's cool. While I'm taking so much time to work on my own body, being that uh, detective for myself, if I can find certain correlations, that'll help me in the future with patients. Yep, not surprised at this point. Maybe it's just psychosomatic, but everything in his right shoulder. Well, it's not pain. It doesn't hurt. It just needs a release. I think about. I think my time is almost up because I spent so much time on my back. Potentially, that neck thing just had me so perturbed that that's okay. Yeah. So no matter how much time I give myself a foam roll, what I've learned is I always don't have time for my legs. So maybe I should start. Yeah, I think for now I'll start with my legs and finish with my back because I just always get stuck. Okay, wait, okay, this is super interesting. Yeah, this right glute is much more sore. So everything pretty much so far on the right side. And it must be related to the running then, because I that's the only thing that's changed in my regimen in the last week. So something about when I was running caused everything on this right side to get thrown out of whack, thrown off kilter. Yeah, wow. That is fascinating. Like this right glute medius especially is like, and I think I talked about this in a previous one to myself. The right glute, the glute medius is responsible for stabilization when we're on one leg. So definitely when I was running on this right leg yesterday, it was it was having a harder time stabilizing. And maybe that's where, okay, yeah, in a compensatory fashion, um, things up the kinetic chain were trying to stabilize my posture once that right glute medius became over fatigued. And that could very well have to do with the fact that that track, if I go in one direction, um, 30% of the track, maybe, or 20% of it is the loops at the two ends. So when doing those two loops, I'm always on my inside leg. My inside leg is always my left leg. That's going to develop an imbalance. So I should do one direction on one leg, or I should switch directions basically, so that I always get the same amount of time for each leg to be the inside leg. What's interesting though is the left calf is the one that's been more sore, and even today it's more sore. So given that the left was inside, maybe because the calf was sore, and there's more required, I think, of that inside leg, maybe I was compensating on my right side. Yeah, I think I figured it out. So really, this all starts with the left calf, which I've been thinking through has felt off But because the left calf is not, 100%, let's say, everything when I'm running shifts to the right, especially if that left side is the inside leg. So it makes sense now why, because this was weak here, and that's where, the closest thing to the ground, that everything above on the right side was compensating while I was running yesterday. So everything on the right side was tight just now, all the way to the neck. And yeah, like the neck feels so much better now that I released the right side. Yeah, like it's so smooth now. Like before it was like, crunchy and uncomfortable, especially to turn from side to side. And now it feels very smooth. So, philosophically, I've talked about, how this promotes cellular health, but even that, like, I'm gonna have a much more comfortable day. So that's pretty cool. All right, that was day 7.